This is DDL 141.
I hear bodies.
Good evening, Lance.
Evening, sir. How are you?
Not too bad at all.
So, of all the billionaires in the world at the minute, I've got to say Elon Musk may be the ideal prime candidate to be a Bond villain.
That wasn't where I thought that was going, but yes.
You thought I was going to say Batman, didn't you? Yeah, I mean,
Anything but a Bond villain, really.
yeah, I mean, the things the guy is in control of and the ideas he has. If he isn't a Bond villain, he certainly should be. He's currently his latest big plan is to take people to the moon.
What, and leave them there?
No, bring them back. They're not going. Oh no!
So I thought this is why he was chumming up to Trump.
Yeah, him and Bieber, that'd be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Let's take those two. No, he's they're not going to the moon. They're flying around the moon and coming back again. But he's planning on doing it next year.
Oh, blimey.
Yeah, that was my reaction. It's not a very long sort of prep time or anything, is it?
Well, this is using the Dragon capsule, is it? Or a
Yes.
modified version thereof?
A people carrier version of it, yeah.
See, I wasn't aware until having a look at the article earlier today that the Dragon capsule is currently in use.
Yeah, it's flying supplies to the ISS, isn't it?
Well, apparently so. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because didn't they have to abort a docking or something last week or the week before? They had to sort of go round again and try again because there was a malfunction in the guidance system.
I am clearly missing out on my news feed here somewhere because no, I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, it sort of took off from wherever it takes off from, Houston or wherever it was, Florida, actually, isn't it? Yeah, and it flew off to the space station, but it was about 15 kilometers or something. It's quite a distance away, and the onboard software detected a misalignment, so they had to sort of abort and go around and redock a few hours later. But no, yeah, they're looking at adapting one of those and taking people up to the moon, flying them around and bringing them back again. And they've already got 2 people signed up to do it. But they won't say who those 2 people are. All he will say is they're not from Hollywood. They're not sort of Hollywood stars or something. So I would imagine they're businessmen or something along those lines.
Has Richard Branson already said that it's not him? Because normally he comes up and says, "Nope, it's not me."
No, he hasn't. That's an interesting point. No, he hasn't. But then he's probably got his own ulterior motives for doing so. If he did, actually, hasn't he? Because he's got his own space company.
I say eyeing up the competition. Yeah.
Yeah.
It tends to be people who you've never heard of, though, because a lot of these people who are in the top 10 richest people in the world don't particularly want everyone to know about it.
Know that they know. Actually, thinking about it, a couple of years ago there was a story of Sarah Brightman, the singer. She paid to go up to the International Space Station, hadn't she? But had to back out of it for one reason or another. So I wonder if she's sort of raised her sights a little bit.
Well, sending Andrew Lloyd Webber around the moon, yeah, that'd be a good one. And also in the news recently, there was about the new planets that were found. Did you see that one?
Yes, I did. Yes,
because we were talking about what is a planet and whether we can actually have planets that are outside our solar system, because the wording of the definition of planet infers that it is going around our sun.
Yes.
And then I think it was the day after we'd done the recording, they announced about these 7 new celestial bodies found. And now I've only seen the headline for this, so perhaps you can finish off the punchline if there is one. But
there is.
They actually put to the internet, what shall we name these 7 new planets?
As if they hadn't learned from Boaty Boatface raised its ugly head because they had somebody came up with Planet McPlanet Face, Rocky McRock Face, Icy McIceface, Gassy McGasface. Um, and of course, with there being 7 of them, we had Dozy, Sleepy, Bashful, Doc. Um,
They
yeah,
just shouldn't put
so
these things to the public without having
to the internet, no.
choice. Make it multiple
However,
choice.
well, yeah, but we were talking about this to my housemate, and he came back the next day and said, there's another suggestion that's been raised, and I think this is clearly the winner. Why not name them after the 7 wonders of the ancient world?
Nice.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a history of naming planets and stars after Roman and Greek gods and that kind of thing. So you've got the 7 wonders of the world. You could have Giza.
Yep.
You could have Babylon for the Hanging Gardens.
Yep.
You've got the Colossus of Rhodes. So you've either got Colossus or Rhodes.
Rhodes.
You've got the Lighthouse of Alexandria. So Alexandria. You've got the statue of Zeus at Olympia. You've got the Temple of Artemis. And then one that I can't pronounce. It's the mausoleum at, I think it's Halicarnassus. But I mean, those 7 names there, as soon as he suggested it, it's like, well, that's clearly the right answer, isn't it?
And it will be called P1, AB7,
Yeah.
R2, C3PO. No. So we've already set the date, we've already booked the time off work, but we've yet to actually sort out the accommodation. Lance and I are going to be walking, climbing. What would you say?
There's a little bit of a climb, but generally, yeah, it's walking.
Well, we should be typically, if I think if it's not involving crampons and ropes and special gloves, then it is walking. So yeah, we'll be walking up Mount Snowdon. And what was the date we said? We said May sometime, isn't it? Early May.
Yeah, I think it's the 14th, something like that. It's whatever weekend it falls around there. Yeah.
This in conjunction with this in conjunction with my recent medical test sort of has raised my I need to get up off my bum motivation. The walk itself is 4 miles to the top and not surprisingly 4 miles back again. However, it's 4 miles sort of at an angle rather than straight flat.
Well, it's kind of worse than that, if you're being honest, because it's about 3.5 miles flat, depending on the route we take, of course. But the route I last took, and I think, were we talking to doing a miners track and come back down the big track? Is that the idea? Yeah,
that seems to be the common one.
So it's about 3.5 miles flat, and then 0.5 mile straight up.
Oh, really?
And it's a killer. It is, yeah.
I did the 3 miles. I did the 3 miles as part of the preparation for the 3 Peaks challenge that I never did. I did the 3 miles.
How far did you get there?
Yeah, I've done the 3 mile walk up to the end of the lakes. But then when I was doing the walk, it was the weather was such that as you looked up, you just couldn't see the peak of the mountain. And the sky was grey and it was cold and snowing. It's like, for a training, this is not what I want to be doing. Ideally, we were going to be doing the actual walk itself in the summer. So I saw no point in risking life and limb to climb up during the winter. But I didn't realise quite how close I was to the end, to be honest.
Yeah, you're probably only sort of laterally speaking. I mean, at the bottom of that climb where the lake is, you can actually see the peak. It's literally up the side of the hill from the lake. However, it's quite a climb. That's the hard bit. I did that probably about 4 or 5 years ago now, and it was the first time I'd been hill walking in about 20 something years. And the guy that took me said, "Oh, we'll start off easy. We'll just do Snowdon to start off with. We'll get you back into it slowly." Well, if that's his idea of easy, I don't want to know what his idea of hard is, because I honestly didn't think that I was going to do it. Well, that walk itself was absolutely fine. But once he said, "Oh, we're just going up there now," and it's like, yeah, no, good one, that's funny, yeah. But no, he was serious, and that bit's a little bit of a scramble. And then when you get to the point where you meet the pig track, that then becomes a set of steps, and they're called the zigzags because that's exactly what they do. And it's not so much a hard walk as in dangerous or like you say, you don't need ropes or crampons. It is just incredibly taxing from a stamina point of view because there's lots and lots of steps and they go up and cross over each other in a zigzag. So you're doing lots of walking for very little height gain.
Yeah.
So it's an absolute killer on the thighs.
What
And
time of the year did you go?
it's probably a little bit later. It's probably June time. I know I got eaten to bits by midges.
Because we've got to be careful. We want to sort of balance it. Too early and it's cold. Too late, and I would hate to be doing that in sort of summer heat. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping that what we've got planned is about right.
Yeah, I think it will be. I think we'll be okay. However, you have suggested taking drones and cameras and stuff for filming for this very show, which is going to make it slightly more. I'm going to have to say interesting.
Well, this is part of what I was going to talk about, is because part of my training as such, I wanted to see how well the technology stuff works and how feasible it would be to have the 360 camera sticking out the top of a rucksack, taking photographs as we go along. Couple of things. I've noticed it's already been done, which kind of takes the
I'm
edge
sure it
off of
has.
yeah, which kind of takes the edge off of me wanting to do it now because I don't want to be a and also. So I'll still take the 360 camera, but it will be to get the pictures of you and I and all the hundreds of other
Well,
people at the top
that's what I
rather
was
than
going to
anything else.
say. Well, that's what I was going to say. Okay, somebody else has already done it, but they haven't done it with us in the picture.
Yeah.
I'd still like to do it and still like to take it and have pictures of us walking up there. Yeah, somebody else has filmed the scenery, but they haven't filmed it with me and you there. And I would still like to do that.
Yeah.
I'm still not sold on the idea of taking my drone.
I'm not sure on that either now. Because what I've been doing, what I did this weekend, I live in an area that's surrounded by the South Downs, and I've done a 6 mile walk and I've done a 7 mile walk, and although the height it is nothing like the same, it was a mile and a half, and then a steep climb, and then a slow descent from that climb all the way back again.
Right.
And I did that with the 360 camera stuck in the backpack, and it's surprising how uncomfortable that backpack becomes once you put the pole sticking out. The pole is moving, the pole's banging you on the back of the head, the pole's catching on things above you. It was just like, yeah, no, won't be doing that. not going to be carrying it with us all the time in that way. So yeah, definitely set it up on a monopod. Yeah, definitely set
Will
it
it
up on a
fit on a
monopod and
selfie
take the
stick?
pictures. Oh yeah, but you're from what I remember from the walk that I did, I wanted the two walking sticks. So holding two walking sticks and a selfie stick. Yeah, no. I think it'll be used at key points the same way as you would a regular camera. I don't see us sort of using it to take frequent photographs, put it that way. But I remember when we went up the last mountain walk that we did, or hill walk we did. If we're stopping as frequently as we did then taking pictures at each of those stops, then we should have a nice sort of memory stick full of pictures. So I'd set out. I decided sort of last week that come weekend I'm going to go do a couple of walks on the Saturday and the Sunday. And then on Saturday, the heavens opened and it was miserable and it was cold and it was wet. I was like, yep, that's not an excuse. Still got to do it. And
Did you
went
really?
out
Did
and did the
you still
walk.
go out?
Oh, yeah. I went out for a walk, and despite it being miserable weather, and it did clear up as I got to the top. But the puddles I walked through was great fun. I'll send you some links to put into the show notes. what I did do, there were parts of Google Maps that were missing. They don't have Street View on this particular section of road because the road is closed at either end and only open for access, but you can walk down it. So I've walked down it with a 360 camera and taken pictures at 3 meter intervals, and you can now see the state of the road that I walked down, and the puddles, and it's quite nice because you're high enough up to see sort of landmarks all around you. You can see all the way out to London, out towards the east, and you can make out sort of more local landmarks as well. And it's really got me sort of in the mood for doing the walking in general. Have you been doing any preparations yet?
I've looked at maps of Snowdon. That's about as far as I've got. See, I have a real problem with time and weekends being very, very precious.
Yeah.
And I've only had one free weekend in the last 2 months. So no, it's the short answer. However, I do intend on sort of trying to supplement it with some aerobic exercise at home, just to get the fitness levels up, and just try and fit in some walking when and if I have actually got a free one this weekend, so I may go for a wander this weekend. But yeah, no, in terms of actual sort of proper preparations, I've done next to nothing.
Well, now I know the route that I can take, and I know that it takes me an hour and a half. I could do it sort of a couple of times during the week as well, which we'll see when we next record a show whether I've managed to do it again at all. I did say last week that I'm going to stop saying this, and I can't. I've been listening to the old shows. And we had a conversation about ghostly experiences. I don't know if you've listened to it yourself recently or if you remember, you were saying about the guitar plectrums that mysteriously upped and disappeared. Remember that one?
Oh, vaguely, yeah. God, that was a while ago.
Exactly, yeah. The guitar plectrums that disappeared and the eerie sense that there was somebody else in the house and all this sort of business. I've never, ever liked the thought of ghosts. I've never believed in them. I'm not even skeptical. They don't exist.
You see, this is, I'm surprised I had this conversation because I hold a very similar opinion.
And I think that it's an opinion, but I had to admit that it was an opinion because I have nothing to scientifically back it up.
Yes.
Yeah? So if somebody had turned around to me and said, you thought that ghosts don't exist, however, here they are, reproducible. This is a ghost. This is George. He was killed in the Battle of Hastings. And tell us all about the Battle of Hastings, George. Well, thank you very much. I would have been open to it. However, and this is not news. This is something which is part of a radio show back in Christmas of last year. And the internet being the way it is, it only came to my attention last week sometime. Professor Brian Cox has said that the Large Hadron Collider has actually proven that there is no such thing as ghosts.
How?
Well, it's not that they, spent all these millions of pounds on the collider specifically to prove this. Yvette Fielding, suck that, yeah. But they know enough about energy to know that anything which could move, be heard, or be seen, they know how it would happen. They know to that level that you cannot. The ghosts would defy several laws of physics if they existed. and the production of energy needed to move guitar plectrums, you cannot define where that would come from. And there's the old adage about there are known knowns and there are known unknowns and all that sort of thing. And they've said that in the realm of known unknowns, there is nothing unknown about movement and about energy. So it is impossible that ghosts exist. And I'm like, yay! It's no longer just I'm thinking that they don't exist. It is
Scientifically proven.
The only way that ghosts can exist is if science is wrong,
Which
it
it
has been in
has
the
been.
past.
Yes, it has been.
But it would have to be so monumentally wrong that it'd be like, and why do we bother with any of this?
So what are people? What would be the explanation for things that? Try and think of a way of rephrasing this, but the sightings that have yet to be explained as any other form of phenomena, what would then become the explanation for those? Because
the sightings are generally relayed stories by word of mouth.
photographic evidence as well, though, isn't there? Which I will put a disclaimer here that I don't believe that they are authentic. I don't
This
believe
is the
they are
problem.
ghosts.
Yep.
They're not necessarily authentic as in a deliberately faked kind of thing,
Yep.
but that figure in there. I mean, there's a classic one of a picture of a man in a 1930s car, and his wife who died is sitting in the back seat, and it clearly does look like there's a woman sitting in the back seat, and it's never been explained as to what else it could have been. I'm going to have to try and find an explanation for that, if it's because there was always the option, well, it could have been a ghost.
No,
If that's now been scientifically proven it cannot be possibly the case, then what is the explanation for that photo?
I don't know the photograph you're talking about, but there's always light leakage, damage to the film. That sort of thing that can randomly look like a person. I don't know how.
An accidental double exposure or something.
Even that sort of thing, double exposures. It was actually the seat, the way that the seat caught the light, and there are other explanations. The radio show that they were talking about this on actually also had Neil deGrasse Tyson on it, and he said, "I admit there are experiences that he had which he couldn't explain, and he would really like to think were ghostly experiences." But the problem is, because that very specific set of environment will never happen again, you can't go back to it and say, well, actually, it was this light refracted off of the airplane that went ahead. There is a way of proving what it was, but without entirely recreating that situation, you can't do it.
So we need to have time travel proven,
Well,
and be able to go back in time and then prove that it wasn't a ghost.
with that particular photograph, I don't know how much work has gone into trying to recreate that situation. The location, the time of year, the weather, the
Same camera,
all
the
sorts,
same
the
film.
same camera, same sort of film. So many things. The amount of ghost sightings, has increased with the amount of photographs that people are taking. Well, that's because the amount of photographs that people are taking, there's now far more crap out there that you can go, that looks like a ghost. Whereas when
And
people
people
had,
skilled with Photoshop.
but that as well. But when you had to spend hundreds of pounds to have a photograph taken, and you sat still in front of a camera with a glass slide in the back of it, there were very few ghosts that were actually captured on film, because It was like that. That was the it 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 was the noise ratio, the amount of rubbish that we take.
Yeah, the scale of numbers, isn't it?
Exactly. One of the things that I was saying about with all these ghost hunters and so forth, the cameras that the film crew have far more delicate and far more sensitive than the little handy shaky cam that Yvette Fielding carries around with her. And yet,
Yeah.
whenever there's a ghost that's caught, it's not caught on the big, expensive camera. It's always caught on the shaky cam because of
You-
the glitches and the rubbish that you get and the noise that you get on the shaky cam that you just don't get with the high quality broadcast television systems.
Plus, the shaky cams managed to hide the fact that they'd set it all up anyway, because that's
In the
been
first place. Yeah.
that's been proven. Yeah, most haunted was completely, totally, and utterly faked.
Was it really? Oh,
Yes,
I
yes,
I
it's
was
the whole
never
thing.
interested in it because of the fact that it didn't appeal to me at all. And so if it was all fake, it's brilliant. Helps to prove that there's nothing out there to really investigate. And if like me, you are interested in listening to these conversations, the podcast was called The Infinite Monkey Cage, and it's a Radio 4 production. I think it's about a half-hour show, and they discuss all sorts of things. I think we really ought to put it on our podcast listen to list because they're going to bring up all sorts of things that we can then discuss on the show ourselves. And that's us done for another week. Thank you very much for listening. If you have comments, please leave the comments on Facebook and or on YouTube, and we shall be sure to get back to you.
I hear podcasts.